Now, I enjoy a good long walk in the countryside as much as the next man. Plenty of fresh air and exercise, especially with my four-legged friend by my side.
But I'm not sure I'd keep up with this bloke. He's what you call a serious walker. He's covering a lot of ground. It's a bit surprising, then, that David Rose claimed he had such serious disabilities that he needed round-the-clock care.
Mr Rose told us he had chronic back pain and arthritis in both knees. The way that's affected him, as he told us, was he had trouble getting dressed in the mornings, he couldn't put his clothes on, he needed assistance with his bodily functions, going to the toilet, and that's how he told us it affected his day-to-day living.
Because of the severe problems David described, he was awarded disability living allowance at the highest rate for mobility and the medium rate for care.
Disability living allowance is to help the more vulnerable people in society to get the assistance they require. People may need help getting out to the shops, paying bills, or perhaps giving them a car or a taxi.
But then the National Benefit Fraud Hotline received an anonymous call claiming Rose wasn't as disabled as he'd said.
That tip-off told us that Mr Rose was walking his dog, doing things that were not consistent with his claim for disability living allowance, where he'd told us that he was a severely disabled person.
The fraud investigators decided it was time to get the camera out and gather some evidence on this suspected scrounger.
Following the tip-off, it took about 6 months to gather all the evidence we needed, because it was no good following Mr Rose on one day. We wanted to see him over a period of time to see if there was a pattern. Did he have good days, bad days? As far as the surveillance was concerned, we only ever saw him doing things which suggested he was perfectly well. Mr Rose was telling us he had considerable difficulties getting around. He also claimed to need somebody with him to take care of his bodily functions throughout the day. We saw no evidence of that whatsoever.
And this cheat didn't stop at dog walking. He was filmed pushing his packed trolley round the supermarket, unloading heavy boxes from his car and even mowing the lawn. We asked our physio if she could see any sign of Rose's so-called chronic pain.
So I'm now watching some footage of David Rose going for a walk with his dog. He's holding the stick in his hand and not using it. If someone needs 24-hour care, the other important point is that if they need 24-hour care, they can't go out on their own. They're generally housebound. He's looking very physically well and walking on uneven surface and up a hill. Quite a long distance. He's in front of the dog and he's just holding his stick. And it looks like a stick that's not a proper walking aid, it's more of a sporty stick that people would use for walking to give them a mild bit of support. You'll see a lot of hill walkers using them. And he's covering quite a lot of distance, 300 or 400 yards in a minute. He's mowing his own lawn. It's physically strenuous, and he's doing it very easily. To be in the pain that he says he's in, to the point where he can do nothing for himself, well, it's absolute nonsense, because he wouldn't be able to use that hover mower